We interrupt this message for a very important broadcast. Welcome to the Distillery on PodX.
I'm going to be honest with you, that smells like pure gasoline.
All right, hey friends, welcome to another episode of The Distillery. This is episode 3, where we're kind of reviewing a little bit about 2020, and you know what? It wasn't all bad. I've got some special guests with me. First guest, special lady, broadcaster, country superstar, and of course, wine connoisseur. We have Tera Lee. How are you doing?
Please, I don't even have wine tonight, because I only had about this much left in last night's bottle. And which is weird for 2021 that we left anything on the table last night. But so
Yeah,
I'm
right.
doing gin. It's a real hard gin because the bar's downstairs.
Is it straight gin?
It was for a bit, but I'm just topping it up with soda water now to make it last. How long do we talk for?
Oh, geez. I don't know. We're going to see, actually. Now I'm going to make this go as long as possible.
Well, if I excuse myself, it's either to use the loo, or if I'm gone a little longer, it's to go to the bar downstairs.
You don't use the Lugaloo while you're broadcasting? For those that don't know, the Lugaloo is a 5-gallon pail with the toilet seat on it for camping. Did you see those?
No, but like back in the day, and I think I was talking to one of our, broadcasters who's been around a little longer than us, if you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Gotcha.
And they used to know which songs were long enough for them to get to the bathroom and back because they didn't have a computer to throw it on auto or anything, right? So they couldn't roll a couple of songs. They had to make sure the song was long. So there were certain songs that were 4.5 minutes, right? So you knew if you were hearing a song, that's where they were going.
Well, yeah, you got to always have those. And all of us in broadcasting know exactly which songs they are. I just leave. See,
You duck.
Yeah. It'll be like, hey, guys, I'll be back. I'll be back in 10, maybe.
I mean, how disgusting do we get on here?
I don't know. We can get as disgusting as we want, really. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I do, actually.
The year 2020.
Yeah.
That was a disgusting year, but it wasn't all bad. I keep seeing these posts now that we're into a shiny new year. It's like, yeah, everything is going to be new and it's going to be so much better and stuff. I don't know that it will, but 2020 was pretty brutal for a lot of reasons, but there was a lot of good out of it. Now, how did you make your way through it? Because you were broadcasting from home for some time.
Yeah, I had actually taken a 6-month contract, and my first day back, I had spent almost 10 years on the radio. About 6 years ago now, I guess, was when I kind of hit a timeout and had agreed to take on this 6-month contract, jump back on the airwaves. And my first day back after 5 years of being off the air was the first day of no school in Alberta, like when everything got really real.
Yeah.
And so that was a bit like, what a time to come back. There's no easing your way back into the saddle, right? And wanting to make sure that, as I don't know if scared and confused are the right words, but as much as I didn't know what was up, what was down, where this thing was going, just like everybody else, kind of trying not to let them see you sweat, but also share the side where it's like, yeah, I mean, we don't know. And we're all living, and we're all in the same boat. Like nobody has a crystal ball.
No.
And so
2021 could be better, could be worse. I don't fucking know, honestly.
Yeah,
but
seriously.
I've gotten real used to this room and my basement.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm grateful for technology that I was able to broadcast from home and fulfill that contract, and then, do a kind of some other things along the way. And I stayed pretty busy. I was lucky to have kind of that bonus work because I work, I've got a lot of contracts in the music business, and we know how bad the artists have got hit this year. And so a lot of my work kind of fell through, but then some other work presented itself, some virtual events that I produced and just some other things. And I actually took a music manager's course that typically you have to go to Toronto to take. Like you got to go there for 8 weeks. You got to move there for 2 months to take this music manager's course through Canada's Music Incubator. And this is the first time they've done it virtually. So I was able to, I got accepted to that because it's a small class, and was able to kind of take a six weeks where I didn't have much on the go and really dig into some of the meatier stuff as far as music management goes, and got some irons in the fire that way for 2021.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's not all bad. And
Not all bad.
speaking of meatier things, we had a guest drop, but he's back. I introduced you, the crazy Italian stallion, the fellow broadcaster himself, the muscle man, the macho man, Mr. Matt Dips. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks a lot for joining us on the Distillery. So TL was just talking a lot about how 2020 forced her to learn some new and different things along the way that probably are going to help you going forward, right? When it came to 2020, what about you, Dips? I don't want to talk too much about the bad shit because I think we all have already too much, but there was some good that came out of it. So what came along for you other than, I mean, you got hitched.
We actually got married last year, but the good things were actually I got a job. So
well,
back in radio.
The move, you moved back to Calgary.
Yep.
You and the new wife, you got a place together, another dog, right?
That's right. So I know we don't want to talk about the bad things, but the bad things were I got fired. Like and like it was like,
who hasn't been fired, Matt? Come on.
Yeah, right.
Seriously.
I think he might have dropped there.
He's frozen.
He's got some serious lag. No, look at it. I actually like that. We should just leave him just like that.
He looks the smartest he's ever looked though in that pose. Go sit on your router.
Matt, figure out your internet and come on back, dude. Just as he was telling us that he got fired, that shit went south.
I mean, I'll wait to tell about the time I got fired till he comes back just to make him feel better. But everybody who's ever been anybody in radio has been fired.
Man, I've been fired from almost every job I've ever had. Like from trucking, been fired, pipelining, fired. I mean, but those were the oil field days. I guess you kind of always got skidded because somebody got pissed at you and you just walked across the street and grabbed another job. That was a different time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember I did a construction job for summer, but I was so lazy. They didn't fire me, actually. They encouraged me to not come anymore.
Yeah,
that was a new one.
Hey, can you tell me where I can share this on Facebook?
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Why can't I find us?
Couple of different ways. If you're looking at it in your top screen, for those of you that are watching it, go ahead and just copy that link and share it. And for UTL, I'll get you a link so that you can zip it off as well.
I mean, I want all the people I don't want them to miss the gold because
the gold.
So much planning has gone into this through today that it's going to be epic. I want to talk about. Can I talk about my recycling project in 2020?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, so I took pretty much from mid-March. Okay, let's go April 1st. I decided I was going to finally get serious about recycling. I had been on a few trips recently with people who were just better recyclers, really. I just felt like they cared more about the planet than I did, and I should.
Of all things.
I know. Okay. But what it really was, man, was I live alone. How much of a difference can one person actually make? Right.
Okay.
I spent some time in BC with some friends and just, picked up kind of on some of their good habits and then traveling with these other friends that were even traveling, they were just very serious about the recycling. And I'm like, well, this seems like a good, I can better myself and the planet all in one new activity. So basically I was a basic recycler. Flyers, wine bottles, more wine bottles, and the occasional envelopes from the mail. That was kind of.
Quick side note: isn't that always a little bit like a gut check time when you go to the bottle depot and all the dudes pulling out of the black garbage bags is clinky whiskey, wine? There's no soda in there at all whatsoever.
Listen, here's the thing: there's some remnants from early lockdown still in my basement, tucked away in empty boxes. I don't want to actually know how many are down there. It was a dark and stormy time.
Right.
So anyways, I decided this is it. And plus we're cooking more with canned goods, right? We all know there were no canned goods on the shelf. So I I basically just decided I was going to like rinse cans, squish them up, learn what I can actually put in the recycling as far as plastics and all that stuff goes. And I just was going to like try to do better. And I was just going to do it for 3 months just to see how much and I was going to keep like the stuff that I wasn't normally recycling before. I was actually keeping it in the basement so I could see how much over 3 months I was actually not doing before, like how shitty of a human I was before versus, you know, how much better I am after being a recycling hero. So then 3 months turned into 6 months. And now I'm going for a year because it is actually.
You're hoarding now. Like that's what you're doing.
In the basement. So there's no room for the bodies anymore.
Right.
But it is astonishing. And what I found is that it carried over into other avenues. Like I don't run the water as long anymore. And like, don't start my car twice before I go in the winter. And it just made me more conscious of other things I could do for the planet because I decided to just be better at recycling. And have I fallen down and not taken like and thrown the composting in the garbage because I was lazy? Yeah, a couple times, maybe 5. But
right.
Overall, I'm winning at the recycling game. And I'm excited it's going to be a real pain in the ass, but to get all those blue bags out into my yard and like take a picture of me and the difference that one person in one household can make in a year. I just think it's going to be eye-opening. It was eye-opening for me. So
what a paid advertisement. How much are they paying you for this shit?
I gotta find somewhere to write the blog and land it somewhere so that I maybe can get something, but it's not about that. I just hope it inspires some other people to just maybe do a little bit better, you know, because I
hear that.
Yeah.
You know, we got a simple bin set up here in Red Deer. We got just the stupid garbage bin and then the blue recycling cardboard bin, right? Mm-hmm. So it's and then I got the under the stair space for all the bottles and shit. But even something as simple as just making like when you're tearing something apart, it's like, well, this is cardboard. I could save this. And even that pulls out a lot of garbage going forward. But here's the thing though, TL.
What's that, man? We
found the article in 2020 that popped out, the study that showed that all the the plastic bottles we were saving, they were shipping them over to China to incinerate them anyway.
I know. I don't want to hear.
I'm just saying.
I just need to live in a place where all the good work I'm doing matters. So it's
you feel like it matters.
I just want to feel like I'm doing better.
That's what a lot of people want to feel when it comes to 2021.
Right.
With all the alcohol that I've been putting into my recycling bags over the holidays, man, I even just putting this hoodie on, which I haven't put on in a while. I can't wait for the gyms to open up again. I got to get back to it. I got to get it right, get it tight. Yeah. See, what started as Beachbody, I think 2015 is now a goal for Beachbody 2021. And one day we'll get there.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah. We can't complain as of late with the weather, you know, and I think being able to get outside, not only for the oxygen, but just kind of move a little bit, like found some new podcasts this year too, that have like, that's what I like to listen to them when I'm walking so I can actually ingest what I'm really. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you podcast when you're working out though? Like if you were really throwing down a sweat or something like that?
No, like when I did run for a few months. And then I kind of buggered my foot and I fell off. Yeah, I took up running at one point as well in about June. And I started slow because my personality is just like 0 to 60. It's like, well, I should be able to run 5K after sitting on the couch for 5 years.
Yeah.
Turns out, no. So I really gave myself a chance to work up to it as you're supposed to, I guess.
I bet you started slow, like real slow, real wheezy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a thing. But yeah, so like I couldn't podcast when I was running. But if I'm just out for a walk and it's
it's just some shrooms, just taking a nice little trip.
Yeah, there you go.
Or something like that. Throw on a little cast and just have a seat on a park bench for 3 days and then just see what happens from there.
What's the worst that could happen?
I found the pharmaceutical. Oh, wait, speaking of pharmaceuticals, okay, this is a true story from yesterday. Friend of mine dropped off some weed cookies, and I kind of just forgot they were there. They were tucked underneath where the bread and stuff all was. My wife had a headache. I'm like, wait a minute. Why don't you hit these up? And I warned her. I said, girl, you're just tiny. You're 4'11". Just take a bite. Well, maybe an hour and a half goes by. I'm just hanging out and I'm gaming and being a nerd, and things are real quiet in the living room. I went out there to see what she was doing. She had climbed into bed already. She ate half a cookie. Full on, hello, darkness, my old friend. Yeah. So I wander into the bedroom and she's curled up in fetal position with the cat watching her and laying guard. And she's like, I don't feel right.
Oh, man.
I told her, I'm like, listen, you're not sick. So I had to have the talk, right? Because she doesn't hit this stuff very often. I'm like, you're not sick.
Yeah.
You're fine.
I'm here.
Just sleep it off. You'll be okay.
You probably had a great sleep.
She didn't get up for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Done. And then when she got up, she made dinner because she was starving. So it was kind of a win-win for me anyway.
It's a win-win for you.
You ever got into the edible train
No,
at
sir.
all?
No, sir.
What?
No, I know.
Come on. Listen, the edibles are the way to go.
I know, but you know what my nickname was in my 20s?
What?
Two Shoes.
Okay, why?
Just
You can't say that without explaining. You got to explain now. 2 shoes.
Bit of a goody two shoes. I know it's hard to believe.
I'm not surprised.
Really?
Tera Lee, the goody 2 shoes? I doubt it.
That's like I said my 20s, guys. I'm a long way from my 20s.
That's where I hit my peak.
Matt, did you ever get into the edibles, Big Cat?
Oh yeah.
How far did you go?
Well, so the best was we had edibles. By the way, fingers crossed. I had to restart my freaking router, so hopefully it works. But we got into the edibles at one time, and an hour goes by. I look at my wife. I'm like, I don't feel anything. And then like 20 seconds later, she looks over at me, and I'm laying on the couch and I'm doing this. I'm like, do you see what these things can do? And then there was one day also, one of our neighbors back in Ottawa gave us some cookies, and I just like, whatever. So they're like, take half, because like we never did them. So take half. So I took half, ate them. And my wife looked at me, and she didn't have any. And I'm like, how bad do I look right now? And she goes, I actually hate your face, because I was so high. Like I was like, and like the light was on, and I looked at my wife and I just said, can you turn that light off for me? And she said, absolutely not. And I'm like, okay. And I get up to turn it off, and I went like down
Down
ground. I love them though. I'm a huge fan of the edibles. I gotta be really careful. I'm like 10 milligram, and then that's it.
But that's the thing. See, the new age, listen, everybody getting into edibles right now, whatever, it's weak, because now they're measuring milligrams and stuff. See, back in the day, you were rolling the fucking weed dice. You had no idea what was going to happen to you.
Weed dice.
The weed dice. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if you're going to wake up on your couch, like I say, 3 days later, or like you take so much to the point where you're sort of conscious, but you have no motor movement. Like you could have started in Awakenings sort of type thing, just laying there.
Yeah.
That's an old reference. Huh? Did anybody else?
That is good though. That is, that's good though.
Excellent.
But I've seen some people, like, that's what I'm saying. Right now, you have it all measured out. But back in the day, or even now with everybody growing their own stuff at home and putting it in butter and whatever and baking with it, you never know what you're going to get, which is fun. It's a good time.
Actually, I have weed butter right now in my freezer.
Can you buy this stuff legally now? Is the edible, because the edible stuff is legal, right?
What?
Yeah, you can buy it legally.
Yeah.
So is
GL.
then for baking? See,
yeah, you can put that.
Oh shit.
2 shoes over here, right?
I'm gonna regret that.
I like catching. By the way, I regret the fact that my friggin' router cut off, because I wanted to hear your story about you getting fired.
Well, let's finish your 2020. You got fired, but then you got a job.
Oh yeah, wait,
Yeah,
that was good. Yeah.
To be honest with you, the hardest part about the year was the fact that after 6 months of owning my very first house, I lost my job and had to sell it. And the mortgage people don't like that. where it's like, hey, we got to sell this and buy a new one. They're like, because like you have to own your house for like 5 years before there's no penalties. But what was great was my mortgage broker found all these loopholes where we didn't have to pay anything, which was awesome. And but finding a house in Calgary was easy but hard at the same time because there's a lot of houses for sale.
Ah,
Did we lose him again? We're gonna have to kill him.
dips. I like how his thing says hopefully.
Is he broadcasting from some sort of COVID bunker he's built? It's very well furnished, though. It looks nice.
I mean,
All right.
he's got to get closer to the router. I mean, by the end of this thing, I'll get to tell the story of being fired. Maybe it's
Okay, do it.
the greatest cliffhanger. It's the greatest cliffhanger.
But surely you were fired from more than one job. Like, did you not get fired from flipping burgers as a kid or something?
I got fired from my very first band, Tony.
What? From your first twanger band? Like, sorry, I call it twanger, but
No, it was the high school band that I actually, coordinated with some of the kids that played shit. And I don't want to say
they fired you.
Yeah, they're like, we don't actually need you. Hey, how many of them do you think had like top 50 songs in Canada in their life? 30 years.
Oh, hey.
So I'm not going to say suck it, but suck it.
Well, I mean, was there any songs that you carried forward into the country music career or anything like that?
No, there was, and I mean, it was like whatever, 3 band practices in where it was like La Bamba and
oh yeah,
maybe Last Dance with Mary Jane or like I don't know. It wasn't, and I clearly have zero baggage around it.
You probably were so goody two shoes. You had no idea what the Last Dance with Mary Jane was really about.
1,000,000%.
You thought there was an actual woman named Mary Jane.
Not a sniff. Actually,
Wow.
You mean there's not?
Good Lord.
I know now. But yeah, it was always funny to me. And I did go back to my hometown and I did a couple pretty big shows there and I started
That's
my
cool.
radio career out there. So, I mean, I was fine. It sucked at the time because I started it, but kids are shitty. Kids are shitty to each other. So, yeah, that I got fired from that. I got I'm sure I got fired from some. Oh, I once got fired from my serving job from the owner who had a bit of a hot streak to him, and he'd fly off the handle and fire somebody every day, but didn't actually fire them. Like, you're fired, but then when you were like grabbing your shit to go, he's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Well, you just fired me." No, I didn't. I'm like, "But so you're fired doesn't mean you're fired?" Or like it's like, he never knew what he was gonna do.
Not to say that you're terrible or anything, but how many times have you been fired in radio? That's not what I'm saying.
Just the once.
Oh,
just
okay.
once. Yeah, and that was because they flipped formats.
Right.
And what's funny is, one of my mentors, with radio, but also just as a solid human who's done a lot in country music and just in her community and all that, was Jackie Ray. And Jackie Ray was our program director at the time and had to fire my co-host and I, you love him, Greg Shannon, because they were flipping formats and it just wasn't going to be the morning show for the new format.
What a kick in the nuts. It's like you always say, hey, I'm a DJ. I could do any format. And they're like, no.
Well, I mean, Greg and I were fairly genre specific. Greg had done some other formats along the way, right? But, my strengths just really leaned. And I love country music. That's my lane, right? That's my passion is the people involved in it. And so we always joke like people wouldn't really know how to take us because Jackie and I remain great friends. And again, she's still a mentor to this day. And when we would meet new people or something or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, this is Jackie. She fired me. Right.
That's awesome though. You can say that.
And we laugh. And then she actually was the one who has hired me back for some of these contracts and some work. And it just, it just kind of was what it was. And it's the nature of the beast. But you went into work one morning, you did your show, and then you had no show. And that is it's just the way it goes. But
is it any surprise that I haven't been fired yet? Because I've given them every reason.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
I think they're scared. Because I threatened to burn down their houses, the station. It happens. I do know where all of them live. I actually stop by occasionally, just, hey, how you doing? Just to let them know that I know where they live.
On my side.
Oh yeah, I've got a couple of country music songs because I'm more of a metal rock guy.
Yeah, of course.
But they're more concepts. Okay, so
okay.
And I was just thinking, yeah, like maybe you would be the person to run these past. Okay. Now
Yep.
the first one is my personal favorite.
Okay.
It's called "I Banged Your Goat and I Milked Your Sister." But there's a whole story there.
Holy shit.
But I did it. I literally just wanted to see your face. But every song always starts with, well, I banged your goat and I milked. You see what I'm doing there? It all works. I'm making fun of country music. I'm sorry.
I know you are. It's okay. Like, you're not going to be the last person to ever do it. And I mean, I can laugh because I know that's not accurate.
It's not.
Right? Like, anybody who actually listens to it knows it's
But
not
there are
accurate.
some, okay, because I firmly believe in every genre, there's artists that you can get down with. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So Chris Stapleton is obviously an incredible talent. Unbelievable. Is probably like a generational talent type dude.
100%.
I think.
Yeah.
For writing, vocals, all that shit.
All of it.
And he, it's crazy about his story. And this is great for anybody that's thinking to themselves that they don't know what the fuck to do with their life and they're not sure exactly how things are going to go. Listen, Stapleton he didn't really get discovered and get huge on his own besides songwriting until he was what, 33? Is he not 34 or something like that?
Yep.
So that's really cool. You just stick with it and who knows, one day maybe you'll get your time.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that's really exciting is like, he's my first round draft pick, that Coulter Wall kid.
Oh, I know. Like, and the fact that his dad was a former premier of Saskatchewan and he kind of came out of nowhere and has this sound and what he writes about, it's just so like, where did you get these experiences? Yeah. To write from this. And he's like, what is he? 23 or something? Like, he's young.
Yeah. Like the behind the scenes that I saw with Coulter, he does, he reads a lot of the old cowboy poetry and there's a whole pile of books from the mid to late 1800s that are collections of these cowboy songs and poems and stuff. And that's where it comes from. But the weird part that I saw with his tours and whatever is he's digging up these same kind of folks along the way that are the same thing. And I'm like, well, there's a whole scene happening here that nobody really knows about. It's like, for those of you that hate the pop in the country music, there's a whole thing happening right now that's getting bigger. That's the old country and Western.
Well, yeah. And there's always been a Texas music scene and this stuff definitely, Coulter probably leans even a little bit further, but we've had, and Corb Lund, right, is another great example. And who had some commercial success and his new record is awesome too. But the Texas red dirt music scene, we back when we had our show here, we actually had a Texas music blogger who did character stuff for us and very well versed in that whole scene. It's kind of like CanCon. In Canada, we have our own scene as well. Like and in Texas, there's just artists that they get played just in and they can play all around Texas, make an excellent living and stay busy just in that lane.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's great music. And there's a few stations that I do listen to from down there once in a while and just to get some color. Right. And they play some different things. So, yeah.
What about that real Appalachian type stuff too? Is that kind of growing or is that still pretty niche?
I think that is niche and will always be.
Yeah.
But, with the thing about niche genres, the people who are loyal there are loyal. Like the listeners, that's what they do. And they spend money, right? They'll throw down on merch and experience.
It's always something before it's something. Like there's this whole cool little scene happening. And then all of a sudden it explodes because it's become cool for some. Okay, here's an example. Here's more my 90s era. Like, the whole grunge thing.
Yeah.
The whole grunge thing was just a bunch of us kids that wore giant pants and stuff for a while there listening to this. And then bam, before you know it, like that's all you would see on back then on the music station, so MTV and Much, and that's all anybody was banging at house parties anymore, and it just exploded from there. But it's what's weird is it kind of just it was going to evolve or die. So, and it did eventually kind of float away. The pillars of grunge are always going to be there, but with country music, it's like this. It's messed up. Artists are literally now in pop music are putting out twanger stuff so they can get played on both stations, right? Because you can download 2 different versions. That's how wide it is.
And that's been, I mean, with country, there's been, I mean, for sure for 20 years, maybe a bit longer, where that's gone the other way too, you know, where something crosses over to pop from country, or pop artists record the song because it works for pop as well, and it was such a banger in country. So, you know, there's multiple examples of that. And just going back to your grunge statement, like where you said it either evolves or kind of dies. I mean, people can say what they want about country music, and Matt works in country music as well. And it's like, yeah, it is wide, but that's because it did evolve. And, you know, the purists, this isn't country. They say that every 5 years, whatever's on the radio, this isn't country. And, you know, I don't disagree most of the time, but that's what it is right now. And I was having this conversation with some other people recently too, where it's like, you don't have to like country. I don't like everything, but the people who hate country, oh man, they hate it. And they've got to verbalize how much they hate it. And if that's where you got to get your hate out, I mean, we can take it. We can take it, but you probably find that too, Matt.
Oh yeah, country music. I mean, I don't even know if Matt's mic's on. Is your mic on, buddy?
It is. Yeah, it's on.
He's working now. Yeah.
I fixed it all up.
But were you ever a country guy, or do you work in the format? I was always curious about that too.
When and great question. When I started, I wasn't. I could not have told you a single, like I used to call, and Tara, you'll find this funny, Brett Kissel. I used to call him Brett Kiesel because there was a football player named, I thought his name was Brett Kiesel. So when I first got into country music, I'm like, I don't know. So when I first got hired, I told the program director who hired me, hey, just a heads up, I don't know diddly squat about country music. And he says, don't worry, we'll teach you. And thank goodness, my mentor was somebody named Jessica Hoy, who thank God I had her. No, I never heard of her. She freaking saved my ass when it came to country music, because she really, it was never forced upon me, but I really quickly realized, wow, there's a great story behind these songs. And now when people ask me, hey, are you actually a country fan? I'm like, big time. Like, it actually is I hate saying my
Come on, is there a great story behind Body Like a Back Road? Come on, man. Or is it just fun? Like, sometimes it's just fun, right?
Ass was that bomb, man.
I always wanted an alternative version of that, Body Like a Backhoe, just to see how that would go down.
But there's no alternative, because that was based on that was the song. So that's the thing. But no, songs like that. But again, Body Like a Backroad, absolutely. But there's fun in these songs. There's joy in the songs. Like, you know, you meet these country artists and these. My big thing is when you meet the artist, you're like, wow, you're just a good person who just really, I've met like a handful of them that are kind of assholes, but for the most part, like the artists who I've met, like the big time artists, a guy like Luke Combs, who's huge. You meet him, super down to earth guy, who's just easy to talk to and fun to talk to. And Tera Lee, like you've met a handful of them, the same thing. I mean, here in Alberta, you know, guys like Paul Brandt, Emerson Drive, who else is there? Lindsay L. Trell.
I know that name. Wait, there's a name I know.
Gosh. TL Towns.
I'm in love with Lindsay L. If you ever see Lindsay L, tell her I have a giant country crush on that woman. She's a hell of a player, like unreal.
I have a super embarrassing story about Lindsay L for myself.
Yeah, let's have it.
So when I first got here, it was like maybe the 3rd month I was living in Red Deer, working for the station there. And so I was introing for Lindsay L, and her dad was backstage, and I was just saying, wow, your daughter's fantastic. Like and obviously a fantastic guitar player. And he was like, I was very complimentary. He's like, "That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Really means a lot. She's worked hard." I'm like, "Yeah, sounds good." Get on stage, introduce, ladies and gentlemen, Lindsay L. And I get off stage and I trip. And I basically went like head first into her dad.
Oh God!
Like basically, like the way. So there were stairs. So in Red Deer there was the auditorium there, and I basically like, if here's the camera, I went like this to her dad. Like I tripped, and he's like this, and I fell, and he's like, "Are you okay?" I looked up, I'm like, "Did anybody else see that?" He goes, "I think everybody saw it."
You're bros forever now.
Right when Lindsay L was playing.
It's a special
We
kind
now
of thing.
are, and actually, I told that to Lindsay L years later. I said, it feels like that we had this connection now, me and him. But I told Lindsay L that years later. I said, "So here's my story between you and your father." And I told her, and she said, "Oh, you're the guy who fell." Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
he told
Nice.
everybody. Hey,
Mhm.
TL, like surely, I've seen, you've worked a lot of stages before, heels, stages, chords. You've got to have eaten shit at least once, right? Like at least once.
Well, one of my best on stage stories, because I played for a lot of years as well, right? And we were playing Ponoka for New Year's Eve. I actually think, because the memory came up on Facebook, I think it was 2010. I think it was 10 years ago. And I always had the guys in the band sing some songs too, right? And so my guitar player is doing Crazy Bitch. And it's later on in the evening. And so we're all doing this thing, and all of a sudden we got a couple stage jumpers, which is typically like, whatever, right? One other time, actually also in Red Deer, we had a stage jumper, and my bass player, just like mid-song, just like right in the ass, kicked him off the stage.
Yes.
That was like, didn't miss a note, right? The guy was standing there dancing, and he just played his bass, kicked up his foot, just booted him in the
Like
rear.
the full, "This is Sparta.
Yeah,
See you later."
It wasn't aggressive. It was just like, you don't need to be up here, kind of booting ass.
Yes.
So back to Ponoka. These guys get up on stage and they're whatever. And because I'm not singing the lead on it, I'm kind of standing back from the microphone. And they're fairly full of the alcohols, as you can imagine. And next thing I know,
it's Ponoka, no doubt.
Next thing I know, one of them is kind of tangled up in my guitar cord.
Oh God.
He's on the microphone, and like,
oh no,
on my microphone, and he's not really interested in not being on the microphone. So I unplug my guitar so that I can get away from him, because I'm like, anything can happen here. And I'm like waving security up, because typically I'll kind of let people have some fun until they're being an asshole. And I just was like, this is going to end badly. And so I unplugged my guitar, I waved security up, and they were like, they had him headlocked, trying to get him away from the microphone. And he's doing this. He wanted to sing along.
Wow. What? You were singing Crazy Bitch, though.
Well, my guitar player was. And like, I actually, like, typically we just play through it to not make really a big scene. But this guy was like not interested in getting off the stage. So I actually I gave the band the like stop.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Like, everybody stops the song. They got him in a headlock, pulling him off the stage. And I'm like, I guess we're never playing Crazy Bitch in Ponoka again.
Do it. No, now you have to. That's my dream now.
So, I mean, that's probably like one of the other thing that was always a danger was like, people dancing too close to the microphone stand. And getting it in the tooth and chipping a tooth. I didn't happen to I definitely got smashed in the face a few times, but I didn't chip a tooth on that one. So
got a couple of microphone
you guys
stories.
have cool singing stories. I have embarrassing just like MC stories. Like you guys have cool on stage fan stories. Mine are all like, I MC'd an event and made an ass of myself, and there were many, so it worked out for that.
Well, that's when you work on a stage so much, there's always so many things that go wrong, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna just need a rehearsal. Okay.
What's your wrong stories?
When I think I must have been about 17. we had the whole jam space set up above a machine shop, and we would work our shift or whatever, and then we'd go upstairs and we'd jam. We'd be all greasy and whatever, and we'd just have a good time and make noise and usually get hammered, of course. But there's on the back of our old school board was a ground switch. Okay. Now my amp also had a ground switch, and it just, listen, the first song we crunch into it and I go to sing and sparks arced. I didn't even touch the microphone yet. I think they arced off the mic into my face. And it was like that. And down I went, man. And I couldn't feel this portion of my face for some time. And it was at that moment that I was dubbed the Electric Indian. Now I'm a native man. And I was okay with that. But that was the band name for the next, I think, year. It was Electric Indian and the Quad Honkies because
that's such a racist name.
We actually made hats. We had all sorts of stuff. Oh my God, am I glad those are not kicking around anymore? Except I wish I had one that I could have just in my home.
I mean, I found when I was doing some basement cleaning in early lockdown, I found some of my old merch. And one was I had these great plastic cowboy boot mugs. You know those plastic like cowboy boot mugs? Yeah. And I mean, that's 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
See, my generation would want like plastic Doc Martin, probably boots. Those would be great. Or Dips. Like, what year were you born, Dips? You're just a baby.
Tell us, Dips. How old are you?
I was born in 88.
Oh,
so 32. That's not young.
You're just a wee baby.
What's wrong with that?
Good God.
I was gonna say, like my generation would want what, apps or something?
I don't know. Yeah, like
32
your generation.
Not that young.
You'd have like flasks that are actually look like phone cases or something. I don't even know what exactly.
Wow.
We'd have snowman mugs of Pink Whitney.
There you go.
Are you actually drinking Pink Whitney? I've never had this shit yet. Everybody keeps ranting about this. I've never had it.
I'm a basic white girl, so I like it. I like it.
You are actually drinking that stuff right now.
Yeah, straight. It's good for you.
On ice, though, right? On ice?
Nah. Straight.
I was in the freezer. It's fine. Yeah, straight. I just bought it.
It's actually on the back of the bottle, TL. Okay. It's on the back of Pink Whitney. It says hold in armpit for 20 minutes just to get that nice body temperature in there. Yeah, nice little pour there.
So Matt, you missed my story. You missed my story about getting fired.
I did hear the back end of it. Is it Jackie is I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still love her.
I met her a handful of times.
Yeah.
Well, by your story, there was a reason for it.
That's right. Yeah. No, and when you talk about Jessica Hoy as your mentor, that's terrifying, first of all.
Oh yeah.
Like that's terrifying. But I will.
I saw her today.
I had the pleasure of bringing her up a little bit on the air. She had been sitting in when my co-host had left, and we did a lot of shows together. And I am a massive fan of her as a broadcaster and as a human. I just want to say that for the record.
I did the morning show this week for her and Bo, who's her co-host, and I got a lot of the where's Jess, and a lot of also where's Bo, like, where's Bo, like, a lot of that stuff. Like,
you don't have to say that.
Like, people really like you. Like, a lot.
She's very talented,
and Bo's there too, but whatever.
Not as talented as Tony.
Oh no, God, trust me. Listen, there's not much talent here.
No one's as talented as Tony. I mean, the guy should have been fired years ago. So.
That's what I tell people. That's my superpower.
Is it anybody's birthday?
I don't think so.
I have the birthday banjo handy if we need it. I'm just
wait. Did you just say you have a fucking banjo on standby? Why are we not doing this?
Apparently, TL always has banjo handy. This is fantastic. Oh, she's got it like. Tony, I gotta be honest with you, man. I had no idea I was gonna be on a podcast. I thought I was
you're doing it.
Something that you were like putting up.
Oh no, it's happening. Wait, we got a main screen. TL, hit that gin hard.
Oh, yeah, please do.
So when I had my award-winning radio show, five-time national winning award-winning morning show. We used to do
slight break.
Yeah, we used to have to do birthday. We used to get to do birthdays every day at 8:10, right?
No, you had to do birthdays.
We had to do birthdays every day at 8:10, and so
I hated doing birthdays. Albert, that would make me do it.
Yeah, and so just trying to like jazz it up a little bit. It's not a real banjo. It's a 6-string, so
it's a ganjo.
Yeah, it's a ganjo.
So for those that don't know, that's a guitar/banjo.
It's tuned like a guitar, but this actually hasn't been tuned since I was on the radio, so it hasn't been tuned in 6 years. That's part of the charm. And basically, I used to like play Happy Birthday on the banjo maybe once a week if there was like a celebrity birthday or like somebody was turning 90 or just to mix it up. And then I recorded some new music and I kind of quit playing it because people thought that I actually couldn't do it. Because one time I did it and the woman phones in and she says, she didn't know that I was on the phone too, just thought my co-host was. She's like, she's not very good, hey? And I piped in, I said, well, would it be funny if I was? And it was like, you can hear the light bulb go on. She was like, oh. And then
I love those moments.
Yeah, I wanted to be taken seriously for a minute as a musician because I actually, I'm not too bad. And so I stopped playing it for a while. And a mom had called in and asked about the birthday banjo. And we were off air and I just kind of politely said, I wanted to be taken a little bit seriously as an actual talent. And so I'm not sure everybody understood that it was a gag. And so just supposed to be really terrible. And she's like, well, I will say every time you played it, my 8-year-old daughter would be like, at least she keeps trying.
Yes.
And then I was like, well, now
an 8-year-old kid was your light.
Right.
That gets me home.
And so now, Facebook is all about birthdays, right? We get slammed with birthdays in our face every day. So every once in a while, I play the birthday banjo on Facebook for somebody's birthday. So like, whose birthday is it today? It's got to be a celebrity.
It's my birthday. I want it for me, baby.
My birthday's in like 2 weeks. So
okay, Matt. And basically what we say is for Matt Dips on his 33rd. Is it going to be your 33rd birthday?
Right.
Is that what it is? See, look at me, the quick math after a stiff gin.
How old am I? Yeah, 30. Maybe. I think I'm wrong. I think maybe it's my 32nd birthday coming in 2 weeks.
32nd in 2 weeks.
So I have no idea.
88 means you're 33, dude. It's 2021.
Oh, fuck, you're right. Oh, shit, yeah.
Dude.
I legitimately have no idea.
This is a party, man. I'm actually texting my wife to bring me another drink.
Make sure it's a Pink Wendy. Hey, TL, thank you so much for letting me know that.
Math, not for radio broadcasters.
I'm not having this math thing.
Holy shit. Dude,
I'm not up for that math thing. Okay, 33 then. 33.
33 on the ganjo.
So for Matt Dips on his
make sure the song is 32 or 33. We don't know yet.
What the fuck is happening? Okay.
Let's
just say both.
On his impending 33rd birthday, we think.
Yes.
We think.
Yes. We think. Yes. We think.
Give or take. You're gonna get it.
Oh, buddy. I'm excited.
Is still being tuned or what is this? Oh my god.
Dude, yes!
And many more.
And then
Holy shit. That was amazing.
Oh my god.
Oh, that was amazing.
That's Banjo.
Yes. Yes.
You never
Hey,
saw
thank you so
Banjo
much.
coming out
Thank-
tonight,
you know
did
what?
you? No,
Thank you.
nobody teased that.
Well, guys, I don't think we're going to top that. I love how all the topics I had planned went out the window. We got a Ganjo. We finally, at the 4th or 5th attempt, we got Matt Dips on.
I think it was,
Thank you.
well, it was a 32nd or 33rd attempt. I don't know.
Either way,
Wait, but you had a question. You had a couple of questions that I feel like.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do it, man. Don't worry about us.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, geez.
your
No,
dance.
no. Like, no, the Ganjo is it, baby. That's
listen, I'll bring it back for the end if we want to reprise.
okay. So play us out, Tia.
Okay.
Play us out. We're gonna call it a.
All she knows is happy birthday. So.
I wonder if I could do Old Lang Syne.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you so much for joining us for our first episode of the Distillery of the New Year. If the Ganjo is any sort of indication, we're in for some real stupid coming up in 2021. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you both so much for coming on and having some fun and having some drinks with me. I appreciate it. We'll do it again, okay?
Yeah, thanks for having me.